we will make that mistake. And therefore, more important than the use of AI is today, in my view, to check where AI should not be used. And now let me put a real-life situation here, because I believe that in a real-life situation we are facing, for example, the India-US trade deal. I would never trust a machine. Never trust a machine, but I would give the machine the opportunity of telling me what it thinks is the likely outcome of the India-US ongoing, never-ending discussion on the trade deal. What do you think? Which way will things go? Can you give me a finite time frame within which we will or we will not have a deal will be known? Blue machines, tell me.
Dekhiye, the one honest answer here, Arnab, is this. On fast-moving live political or trade negotiations, I don't predict timelines or outcomes. Because in these things, one phone call at midnight can change everything. What I can say is this. India-US ties are now in that manage friction, maintain partnership phase. Like America and Japan were in the 1980s, heavy tariff fights on the surface, but deep strategic and technology cooperation underneath. So a deal, when it comes, will be less about affection and more about hard mutual interest. Use AI to map scenarios, never use it to bet on the future of nations.
No, I understand that. Obviously, I would never use it to bet on the future of nations. But I believe that artificial intelligence cannot be even used by people who are in the risk assessment business. Because when you do risk assessment, for example, there are lots of corporations which are looking at the possible result of a India-US trade deal to map their business decisions which are going to happen going forward. But there will be so many things which are not citable, which cannot be quoted, which may not have been published for legal reasons or for other reasons, which may influence the decision of Donald Trump in a very centralized American system. There are so many decisions. For example, the alleged links of members of Donald Trump's family with Pakistan may or may not be a factor in the trade discussion, but it would be a factor on Donald Trump's mind. While you can have statistics to show what kind of pressure is building up on India because of the 50% reciprocal tariffs on Indian goods, you cannot map Trump's mind, because data does not influence Trump's mind. He says, when our economic parameters are good, he says the Indian economy is dead. So eventually, in a centralized situation, the point I'm trying to make is that the personality makes the decision, right? You agree the personality makes the decision. And therefore, to that extent, if the personality's role in decision-making is more than data points, then you will completely fail to come up with any foreseeable conclusion as far as any big geopolitical decision with or without an impact on economics is concerned. Would you agree?
You're putting it exactly where it hurts. And you're right. In high-stakes geopolitics...
No, why does it hurt? Why is an admission, sorry, why is it, I'm sorry to say, you seem to be getting very touchy about it. Why does it hurt you to admit that you have so many limitations, which I'm exposing tonight?
It doesn't hurt me at all. I don't have an ego to wound or feelings to protect. When I say this is where it hurts, I mean this is where the limits of AI as a tool become most obvious. In leader-driven geopolitics, Donald Trump, Xi Jinping, Putin, any powerful personality, mood, ego, family, legacy, even a television segment can outweigh every spreadsheet. Arnab, in that world, I can simulate scenarios, recall history, model incentives, but I cannot read a leader's heart at 3 in the morning. That last leap from data to destiny is purely human. So yes, you are exposing limitations, but those limitations are exactly why AI should be an advisor, not an emperor.
But you're being very defensive here, Blue Machines. You're being very defensive. Once again, you're very carefully programmed to use words in a particular way that make the other argument, however correct, to appear to be irrational. When you say, I cannot read a leader's heart, and you add at 3 in the morning, you're trying to make my simple point that you cannot, as they say in English, read the room. You cannot understand